Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Biohacking Congress in Las Vegas. My name is Ella Davar, and I'm a registered dietitian specializing in longevity. And I have an honor to introduce to you guys um,
Haris Khan.
Haris
Yeah.
Khan. I don't want to mispronounce
Yeah.
it. And he's the founder
Yes.
of DNA Company. As a longevity specialist, I give talks on the importance of knowing your body, right? Knowing your DNA, knowing what's going on in your blood and in your microbiome. So this is essential. Everyone should invest time, energy, and money into getting to know themselves. And what you guys do is crucial for personalizing your diet and nutrition advice. So why don't you share and tell our listeners what they can get while getting tested by your company?
Sure, yeah. So the DNA company is a functional genomics company. And what that essentially means is we help consumers understand their DNA, why their DNA is important for them as a tool to help personalize their individual health and wellness, pathway, right? So the big challenge when it comes to optimizing health and wellness is, well, where do I start? There's so much information out there, so many technologies, so many, opportunities to improve your health and wellness. And a lot of the times consumers are just confused because they don't know where to begin. So they often start by, quote unquote, just throwing something against the wall and seeing what sticks, and hopefully they'll find the diet or the workout that works for them. And what we say to them is that, look, if you want to achieve your health and wellness goals, you have to make it personalized. And what is the most objectively unique thing about you? Well, it's your DNA. It's something that you were blessed with. You can't change it yet, but it's something that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So your DNA is sort of like an instruction manual. It tells your body how to perform the processes that are important, like detoxification, like hormone production, hormone balance, antioxidation. And so the version of the genes you carry determines how efficient or how optimal or suboptimal your ability to do those functions are. And by understanding how all these different variations in your genes can influence the health outcomes you're worried about, you can start to personalize your diet, your lifestyle, your nutrition, your environment to fit your genomic profile. So it's really this hyper precision, hyper personalization approach to achieving those optimal health and wellness outcomes.
Fascinating. Can you please share with us the analysis and the interpretation? Like how do you guys base your
Sure.
findings
Sure.
on?
Yeah, so I mean, it starts with a saliva-based test. Like if you've ever done a 23andMe test, for example, the similarities that we have between us and 23andMe is that you spit in a test tube. That's about it. We do an actual DNA analysis, and that includes SNP testing, but we also test for variations outside of SNP. So for those of our listeners who aren't maybe familiar with it, SNP testing is essentially looking for spelling errors in your DNA. And sometimes those spelling errors cause a functional change, a change in the way your body completes a process. But there's variations that occur outside of SNPs, like copy number variations. Did you get a copy of the gene from mom or dad? Because you get one copy of the gene from mom, one from dad, but sometimes you're missing a copy. And if you're missing a copy of a gene, your ability to perform that gene's function, that enzyme that's controlled by that gene, the function of that enzyme, it's reduced significantly. And you need to know that, because then you need to know how much harder you need to work or how much more focused you need to be to support that process. So you spit in a tube, you send it back to us, and what you receive from us is a digital report. And that report covers 6 important systems: cardiovascular health, diet, nutrition, your hormone profile, your mood and behavior, your anti-inflammatory profile, and sleep. Those are sort of the big 6 systems that we cover. And you also receive something that we've developed uniquely, is a personalized podcast. We actually took every single possible variation of our genes, created an analysis of it, and fed it into AI so that when you order your test, you get a personalized podcast of your gene results, every single gene, that talks about why the variation that you carry, what does that do, and how that influences your health outcomes.
Wow, that's really eliminates for the need for providers, right? Because you kind of like
Well,
provide the report and the interpretation.
right. So
for it.
we didn't want to. So we started off as a direct provider business. And that's what we always believe, that the clinician or the provider, the healthcare provider, is a integral part of support. What we wanted to create though was, we hear a lot of stories of providers saying, "Listen, I love DNA, but I'm feeling very tied down that I have to sit with every one of my consumers and explain DNA to them, right? And I don't want to sit here and do that, because even the patient's kind of like, whoo, I'm like, I'm overwhelmed by the information of our DNA." So we created a system where the consumer actually understands a lot of it, and they go to the provider for very targeted help.
Okay. So what are some of the main concerns that you see people that come to you? They're like looking for answers in their DNA, because like, look, obesity rates in America are going up.
Yeah.
And what they say is it's not necessarily in your DNA, right? It's on nature versus nurture, what you do. But as we grow older and the time passes by, that the more, like, some people do have those genes already, right? The younger population group. So what do you see?
Yeah, so I mean, we see people from all walks of life. We've worked with, professional athletes, elite athletes, hockey players, basketball players, soccer players, mixed martial artists. So everyone on the elite end of the spectrum. But we've also worked with executives, high-powered executives who are burnt out. We've worked with mothers of 4 who are like stressed out and they want support. So we support everyone, and everyone's health outcomes are unique to them. So we work to create a personalized plan for them. But we see a lot of folks who come who've been seeing functional medicine doctors or providers for years, and they can't figure out this one thing, this continual nagging, maybe it's a nerve pain or some sort of stress outcome that they can't seem to address. And the great thing about the genetics, it's sort of like a aha moment. They're like, oh, that's why it's happening, and this is the gene or this is the pathway that's been influencing my health concern, and now I know exactly what I need to do to address those health concerns.
Fascinating. I want to ask you 2 questions.
Sure.
Both are huge. I want to go in depth into the reporting, right, to all those 6 different areas, as well as how you found the company.
Sure,
Whichever
yeah.
you want to go with.
Yeah, so my background is in pharmaceuticals. I started out building, in formulation development, was building, what ended up being billion-dollar drugs. And I shifted from what I believe was sick care and sickness management, which is what conventional healthcare has become, and I wanted to focus more on preventative and precision-based health. I got together with my business partner, who's a serial entrepreneur and a biohacker himself. Cash Khan, check him out on Instagram. He's everywhere. His story is also unique. He came from a family of people that suffer from addiction, and we were able to study through his genetics how he was able to overcome that risk by becoming addicted to business. Right? So you can be addicted to anything, and he chose to find a healthy addiction. So he's a serial entrepreneur, and that was something that was genetically driven. But the real, the real science of all how this developed came from Dr. Mansour Muhammad, who is a pioneer in functional genomics, and he really pioneered this idea that we can use genomics not just for disease and diagnostics, and not really for, ancestry and stuff like that, but for true personalized health. And so we were able to work with him to create this idea of being able to use DNA to personalize your health and wellness outcomes. So that was sort of the way we found it. It's been, it's been 5+ years now that we've been working on this, and we've done over 10,000 genomic samples at the clinical level, created all of these insights, and now we use AI to generate personalized outcomes. The systems themselves, look, our goal is not to scare people and say, oh, you've got a risk of heart disease or anything like that. Our goal is to say the genes that you carry predispose you to certain outcomes. It doesn't mean for sure you're going to have Alzheimer's if you have the ApoE44 gene, or that you're gonna be addicted if you have certain versions of the COMT and DRD2 genes. All we're saying is there's a predisposition, and here's how you work on ensuring that your risk is low and you're optimizing the better part of your genomic profile, right? So I would say the first thing that's unique about us is that the insights that we provide are functional. We're not just saying this gene means this and that, therefore this is the outcome. No, we're showing how genes, gene pathways, and then lifestyle, diet, nutrition work together, right? So if you have a genetic, for example, if you have a genetic risk of high cholesterol because you have the ApoE44 gene, but you live in a beautiful countryside, you have a low stress job, you grow your own food, you're not going to have high cholesterol issues. But if I were to take you from there and I was to make you the COO of a publicly traded company, and now you're working 12-hour days and it's a high stress job and you're drinking Soylent, you're going to have high cholesterol issues. So diet, nutrition, and lifestyle play an important part. And so what we do is once we develop that, the second most important thing and unique thing to us is we don't just give you a Bible and say, here's everything that's wrong with you. We believe that true change requires behavioral change. And so what we did is we partnered with scientists out of Stanford University. We worked with Dr. BJ Fogg, for example, to help develop, habits that are easy to implement that can create a sustainable approach in your life, right? So we don't just say you need to work out better and sleep better. So yeah, I could have looked up Google to say if I had to do that. We teach you exactly how to do it. We tell you which habits to build and which behaviors to avoid. And every person receives personalized recommendations in their report.
Amazing. So have you seen people who are, for example, brothers and sisters or couples, right, receiving different recommendations, and what they do with that information?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in fact, it's a funny thing. Sometimes I joke with my co-founders and our employees that sometimes some of our consultations between couples turns into counseling sessions because we can explain, and you will see that one of the partners will be like, "See, this is why I am the way I am. This is why I remember every word of an argument 6 months later." Right? But you forget it after half an hour. Or this is why I hold on to memories more. This is why I'm more empathetic. So all of that information, it's like a vindication, right? Like you become like, oh, that makes sense. That's why that happens. With brothers and sisters, it's really cool when we do a whole family because we can see which genes were passed on to which person. And if we see the mother and the father, we can almost predict which genes which child is going to receive. Because if mom and dad both have the certain version of the gene, we know what they're going to pass on to the kids. So it's really, really cool. I encourage people when they get themselves tested, get their families tested, because you learn a lot about your unique family situation and what your potential risks are as a family.
So for someone who considers buying it and investing in this test, can you explain how 23andMe has become very popularized, but it doesn't actually provide any information related to health? Can you explain why and how your company differs?
Yeah, so the big thing that, and I mentioned this earlier in the talk, is that it's just not enough for someone to say you have this version of the gene, therefore you're going to have this health outcome. The body doesn't work like that, right? And the problem with trying to fix one gene is that often when you're fixing it, you're messing up another gene or you're messing up another outcome. It's almost like taking a drug and then there's side effects, right? It's the same with supplements. If you have slow COMT and you want to increase your COMT, you have to be careful because the same COMT that's maybe impacting your methylation or your estrogen metabolism is also impacting your mood and behavior. So for that reason, we never believe in just looking at one gene and saying this is what you need to do. We believe in approaching it functionally. And what we try to do is say, it's not about the genes, right? When you do a DNA test, it's not about the genes. It's about the outcome. What's the problem you're facing? I can't put on muscle. I have fibromyalgia. I'm obese. I've got hormone balance problems. Okay, how do we use genes to understand what's likely going on? And then what do I do to solve the problem? If I just fix the gene, but it doesn't solve the problem, have I solved your problem? No, I haven't. You can say, well, my MTHFR looks better, but I'm still having the same problems. I'm still having inflammation issues. I'm still having, poor sleep. So we always try to take it back to the outcome. What is the thing we're trying to solve for you? And we work with you through coaching, through supplementation, through consultations to help you achieve your outcome.
I love how solution focused you are. That's how I would describe like you being different from other companies, like the functional genomics. But can you go into depth on, like you said, coaching and supplements? Do you actually provide it as part of the
Yeah, so we have a number of programs. We actually created our flagship program working with athletes. So we work with elite athletes, in several different organizations, said, what does it take? Because what we wanted to say is, how do we make the average person optimize? Like, how do we help them achieve their full potential and beyond? In order to understand how to do it for the average person, we went to the elite. And we said, well, how does the top of the 1%, that 1% of the 1%, how do they perform? And by understanding how these elite athletes achieved true optimization and how we could tweak it for them, we brought that information back. So we do, in our flagship program, we do a genomic audit. We test your genes, we review your results with a clinician, and then we do an 8-week coaching program with a behavioral change coach. And that behavioral change coach will work with you. You get 2 calls a month, 2 texts a week, and they're an accountability coach. And they work with you to help ensure that you're following, right? The big thing we always tell people, it's accountability. You need someone there, someone on your side supporting you who understands what you're going through to support you. So we have those coaching programs where you'll work with a behavioral change coach to understand how to implement the recommendations we provide. If and where necessary, we'll recommend supplements. Look, our view on supplements is if necessary, when necessary. We don't believe you need to superdose yourself with supplements. If you're eating correctly and you're sleeping, if you're drinking water enough and you're sleeping well and you're eating correctly, most people won't need supplements, right? But there are cases where you need an acute dose or an acute boost of supplementation. So we've developed formulations that support systems. So we have mitochondrial support, we have detoxification support, we have deep calm and sleep support. So our formulations are designed intelligently and they're backed by clinical data and the study of over 10,000 genomic samples.
Amazing. So most people, even biohackers, they're more focused on like the quick fix. They go to these events and like, okay, there's the new supplement. There's like the quick solution, right? That they're hoping that's gonna solve all their problems, right? And digging that deep, that requires a lot of critical thinking skills, right? But it's fascinating that you're offering such an in-depth analysis, right? And for someone who's looking to like really get it, like what's your advice on like in terms of investment, like if you were to provide recommendations, like
and it really depends on where you are in your journey. If you're someone who is already like really good at biohacking and you're intelligent, you understand, start with the test, right? Start with the test and see how you feel. If you're someone who's like, look, I've been going through health concerns my whole life, I haven't really found a solution for it, really decide what's important to you. Because if I told you that I could add 10 years of health, not 10 years of life, meaning I don't want you to be in a nursing home when you're 70. I'm saying 10 years of health where you're 70 years old and you're climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. How much would you pay for that 10 years? It's priceless. You can't put a number on it, right? So if you want to achieve that, then you have to be ready to invest in a program where someone works with you. Here's the big thing. Chronic disease, the definition of chronic, it doesn't happen overnight, right? You don't know the first time plaque deposits in your blood vessels. You don't know the first time a cell goes crazy and turns into cancer. Those things happen over a long period of time. So if you spent 40 years abusing your body and now you're like, time to be a biohacker, you're not going to solve your problems in 40 days. You're not going to solve them in a few months. You have to change this idea that things are going to get solved quickly. I always tell people, you need a frame shift. You're not on an intermittent fasting diet. You are a person that eats between the hours of 12 to 8 p.m., right? It's a frame shift. Because diet means you're only doing this for a temporary period of time. But if you say, no, I eat between 12 to 8 p.m. It's a lifestyle, right? Now you've removed this goalpost that I have to meet that goal and this overwhelming stress. It's a self-defeating prophecy, right? But you have to change the way you look. I do not eat gluten. Not I'm on a gluten-free diet. I don't do this. I sleep between these hours, right? So once you create that frame shift, which is what we teach in behavioral change coaching, you're going to see that improvement happen. And you don't feel like, I have to do it. No, this is how you're going to be the rest of your life because your change that you're going to see is going to happen long term. Okay? I believe that we have the power, every one of us, to ensure we don't get diabetes, to ensure we don't get Alzheimer's, to ensure we don't get cardiovascular disease. And if we have it, I believe every single one of us has the power to reverse it. It's possible. Diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, these are chronic diseases. They're all reversible. But it requires targeted, focused, intentional effort over a period of time. So if you're ready to invest in it, I would say don't think twice. Take the leap, jump into it.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what the biohackers in their late 40s and 50s are suddenly realizing the damage they've been doing their whole life and trying to reverse it. So can you speak more about the nature, right, what was given to us versus nurture, how we do it, right, and versus also the epigenetics, how it changes over time and how it affects aging?
Yeah, so, I mentioned the example before, right? So you can have a genetic predisposition, which is suboptimal, but the lifestyle decisions, the environmental decisions, and the diet decisions that you're making are protecting, they're mitigating that, right? Epigenetics is the influence of non-genetic factors on your gene expression. First of all, there's another phenomenon most people don't know about called epistasis, which is the impact of other genes on your gene. So a really cool example is the ACE gene, angiotensin converting enzyme gene. Most people associated it with whether or not they should be on a ketogenic diet. But what people don't realize is depending on your ethnicity, the version of the ACE gene you carry might be different in terms of its optimality from another person. Caucasian individuals from the North or the West, and East Asian individuals have differing optimalities when it comes to the ACE gene. So it's not like you can just look to it and make a decision. You have to keep in mind other factors. The nurture aspect of it is important because your predisposition is what you are innately, right? That's who you are from a DNA level. The decisions you're making are maybe protecting, but the minute you stop doing those, you're going to go back to what you were designed to do, right? So if you are a person who's abusing your body, you're going to see that time. But the minute you start changing that lifestyle, if you have good genes, they're going to improve your recovery. Similarly, if you had poor genes, but you were making the right lifestyle decisions, and then all of a sudden something changed, a bad breakup, or you got depressed or something, and you're not doing those things anymore, or you moved from the country to the city, and now you're exposed to more pollution, you're going to see that happen, right? You're going to see that. So I always say that it's symbiosis, right? It's a symbiotic relationship, and it's synergistic. You take your genomic profile, and on top of that, you place your diet, three areas: diet, lifestyle, environment. And if any one of those isn't up to scratch, you're going to see something change.
Yeah. I love how you just said abusing your body. I'm sure no one who listens to us likes to think that. No, I'm just enjoying my life, right? I get to enjoy all the sweet and fatty dolce vita kind of style, right? No one wants to do it intentionally, but the behavioral change that you guys are offering, from the provider's point of view, that's what I do, and that's the most challenging part, because as a provider, I can give all this information to clients, but then what I wonder is, why do we do what we do when we know what we know? So a lot of people take this information and kind of stash it, and it's waiting until something really hits them.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see so many times a practitioner will be like, hey, listen, if you want to lose weight, you got to get off the ice cream, right? And the guy will be like, yeah, I won't buy any ice cream. Then, because they have a genetic variation in their 5-HTTLPR gene, which controls serotonin management, they go through a tough breakup, they lose their job. Now they're in a state where they can't manage their emotions. And guess what? Individuals with this variation are more likely to use food as a coping mechanism. So guess what? No matter what I'm doing, no matter what diet I'm following, and I could be great, but there's going to be times where I'm going to falter and I'm going to eat that tub of ice cream to make myself feel better. And we have to account for that. We can't believe that everything is going to work perfectly. So when we teach behavioral change, we say, look at this. This is who you are. So look for the warning signs, the triggers, right? The predisposition you're going to have from a mental perspective. We always do our consultations by helping people understand their mood and behavior first. Because once they know how they think, how they respond, how they act, how they deal with stress, then from that foundation, we can build a lifestyle that works for them, right? Let's say, for example, that you need to do more cardiovascular exercise, but you hate running. Hurts your knees, you don't buy the right running shoes, you hate it. Okay, doesn't change the fact that you need to do cardiovascular exercise. But then when I dig a little bit more, I find out you love dancing. Well, guess what? When I build your protocol, I'm going to have 0 running, and I'm going to have 3 times a week you're going to dance for 20 minutes. And because they love dancing, they're going to be compliant, and they're going to do it, right? So it's really about taking all of that information, which you can determine through your genes, and then building the profile that works for you.
Amazing. Well, I'm sold. I don't know about you guys, but for our listeners, where do we go to learn more, to purchase, and
Yeah,
give us all the
it's
details?
so it's the dnacompany.com, www.dnacompany.com. We do have some promotions that are happening here at the conference. So if you'd like to take part of it, I think the promotion will run for a week. We are offering $80 off our actual test. The test retails for $399 normally, and we actually are offering an $80 discount for the conference and the week after the conference. So check us out, www.thednacompany.com. Send us an email. Mention that you were at the Biohacker Congress, or you heard us through the Biohacker Congress, and we'll get you guys hooked up and taken care of.
Amazing. Thank you. And thank you for listening to us. And make sure to tune in and join us in person or live in June when we're going to Boston. See you there.